First of all, a little bit about the anatomy of the prostate gland. Prostate was divided by Mr. McNeely in 1968 into three distinct zones: transitional zone, central zone, and peripheral zone. As we can see in this picture here, the urethra was from the transitional zone, and the ducts of seminal vesicle passed through the central zone. Uh, the apex of the prostate gland is entirely made up of the peripheral zone. As we can see here, 5 to 10% of the prostate cancer arise from the transitional zone, 10 to 15% arise from the central zone, and 60 to 70% arise from the peripheral zone. Blood supply. Prostate receive is blood supply from the prostatic artery, which is the branch of inferior vesical artery. The prostate drains in the prostatic venous plexus, from which it ultimately from via inferior vesical veins drains in the IVC. Multiple lymph nodes drain the prostate, which includes common iliac, external iliac, obturator nodes, and internal iliac nodes. Sometimes presacral lymph nodes and para-aortic nodes. Ultrasonic sonographic anatomy. Prostate look like this is a prostate gland on the ultrasound axial view, and this is the sagittal view. Yes, this is the transitional zone here, and this is the peripheral zone here. And this is the axial view. We can see the urethra, and this is the bladder. So, what are the indications of the prostate biopsy? Indications include raised PSA, nodularity on the DRE, previously negative biopsy, but persistently raised PSA. High risk in high risk men. Sorry, we need a early biopsy. High risk men include with a positive family history of the prostate cancer, African Americans. If an African American man is 40-year-old with PSA1, we need to do a biopsy. And if the PSA velocity is higher than 0.35, we need a biopsy. Contraindications include coagulopathy, immunosuppression, and acute infections. So, there are a few prerequisites before we do a biopsy. Anticoagulant coagulation must be stopped. Warfarin and clopidogrel must be stopped 7 to 10 days before the biopsy. Rivaroxaban 2 to 5 days before the biopsy. Low dose aspirin doesn't need to be discontinued. Patient with mechanical heart or heart conditions, bridging therapy is needed with heparin or low molecular weight heparin. Antibiotic prophylaxis, usually fluoroquinolones or cephalosporins. Clean enema just before the biopsy, and analgesia. So this is the timeline of the prostate biopsy. Transperineal biopsy was first introduced in 1922. Then the open biopsy technique was developed by Mr. Young in 1926, and so on. In 1960s, the era of ultrasound was arrived, and ultrasound guided truss imaging was there. In 1986, PSA was introduced, and it became raised PSA became one of the indication of prostate biopsy. This is the picture of 1930s open prostate biopsies being done here via open dissection. Truss guided biopsy is one of the first line biopsy technique in most center. In this technique, a spring guided 18 gauge needle core biopsy device or a biopsy gun that can be passed through the needle guided attached to the ultrasound probe is used. It has about only 30 to 35% of the cancer detection rate. In this picture, we can see here the transrectal probe is passed from the rectum, and the needle is attached to the probe device, and the needle is passed into the prostate via under ultrasound guidance, and the biopsy cores are taken. This is also called transfecal route nowadays. Initially, 6 cores were considered enough. One from posterior lobe, one from median, and one from anterior part of the gland. But this was called the Saxon technique. But but 6 core was now not considered enough. Double section technique, even now saturation biopsy techniques are being used in which 18 or more cores are being taken. So this is just a brief animation video of how to do a transrectal prostate biopsy. As we can see here, sorry. अच्छा ये जो है हाँ हाँ So this is just a probe, and this is a needle attached, and it is introduced under the ultrasound guidance to the prostate, and the biopsy cores are taken. Now the new technique, the transperineal route, is being used in most centers, many centers around the globe for the identification of the apical and anterior region tumors. As we previously described, the apex of the prostate is considered made up of the peripheral zone, and peripheral zone cannot be biopsied under the transphaecal route. It has reduced risk of infection. Patients with conditions with rectal stenosis and a post-APR patient, this is the method of choice in these patients. And previously, negative trust biopsy, this is the method of choice in those patients. The major drawback is this technique required the general anesthesia, but recently, local anesthesia transperineal biopsy technique is being developed. It has better cancer detection rate of about 60 to 65%. This is the picture of how to take up a transperineal prostate biopsy. Remember, the probe here is also transrectal route, but the needle of the biopsy gun passed from the skin of the perineum direct to the prostate, and biopsy cores are taken. Due to better visualization, we can take as much core as required. This is a picture map of the transperineal biopsy made by a Ginsberg study group. In this map, the prostate is divided into anterior, median, and posterior sector, and the basal sectors. 4 biopsy cores are taken from each sector depending on the size of the gland. If the prostate gland weighs up to 30 cc, 4 cores should be taken from each anterior, mid, and posterior sector bilaterally. If the prostate measures between 30 and 60 cc, basal sector is also added, 4 cores from the each side of the basal sector. It is above 60 cc, 5 cores from each anterior, mid, and posterior sectors are taken. But now they say the newer guidelines suggest that we should take per cc of the prostate gland, each core from per cc of the prostate gland. For example, if the prostate is 50 cc, 50 cores should be taken. So this is the animated video of technique of the transperineal biopsy. In this video, we can see the probe is passed per rectum. And this is the grading device to help. And the needle pass from the skin of the perineum to the rectum. Depending on the size of the prostate, the cores are recently there is the concept of MRI guided biopsy technique. In this technique, the target lesion is identified and the biopsy. It has better results and improve diagnostic yield. It can be done via transrectal or transperineal route. MRI-guided transperineal biopsy has better diagnostic yield of about 86%. MRI-guided transrectal biopsy is only about 73%. This is a Urinap system which combines the images of ultrasound and MRI. And the images of MRI are installed in this software, and the software combines both images, and with the help of radiologist, we identify the target lesion and biopsy them accordingly. These are the visual images made by this software, and the target lesions here, we can see the target lesion here are identified. This is another image. The target lesions are identified first, and then the biopsies from these scores are taken. Adding MRI targeted biopsies to the traditional prostate biopsy create a more accurate diagnostic yield and prediction of the course of prostate cancer, allowing the better treatment decisions. So this is the target lesion. The biopsy cores are taken from the target, as well as systematic biopsy cores are also taken. It improves the diagnostic yield and improve the diagnostic yield of clinically significant prostate cancer. So this is the video of MRI guided biopsy. So any question regarding this video? Yes, this requires a multiparametric MRI. So now, novel techniques. Now there is a concept of elastography. Elastography is an emerging ultrasound technique. It visualizes the elasticity and stiffness of the tissue. It works on the principle of Young modulus, which states that when the force is applied to the unit area, relative displacement of the points will be proportional to the applied force. Tumors are usually stiffer than the normal tissue. Prostate cancer is about 5 to 28 times stiffer than the normal prostate tissue. There are two types of elastography techniques: strain forces and shear wave elastography. Strain forces are generated by manual compression by the transducer. Shear force is a technique that uses a sonographic push pulse to generate a shear wave in the tissues. This is a this is the this is the lesion, suspected lesions, and this bluish area is the stiffer area than the normal one on elastography. In these images, this is about 3.5% stiffer than the normal. Drawbacks. Drawbacks include prostatitis, fibrosis, atrophy, adenomyosis, and BPH may be associated with the increased tissue stiffness. Cancers with predominant Gleason pattern 3 or 3 plus 4 may have sparse architecture, but it has very good sensitivity with the Gleason score when the tumor has Gleason score of above 3 or 4 plus 3 or above. There is very limited data regarding this elastography of the prostate, and it needs more studies before becoming a clinical practice. Thank you. So now there is a concept of liquid biopsy, or many biochemical markers are being developed to diagnose the prostate cancer. All of them are under research. The one of the most studied one is when serum PSA combined with urine PCA3 antigen and plus TMPRSS plus ERG fusion gene. It detects cancer better than PSA. So, but it is very expensive. All these tests are expensive, not run by all the labs in the world, and only for experimental purposes now, not in clinical use. And most of them don't even improve patient outcome. Risk and complications. Infection, one of the most fearsome complication of the transfecal prostate biopsy. UTI is we can see in about 2 to 6% of the patient. 0.6 to 4% of the patient develop sepsis after transfecal biopsy due to increased antibiotic resistance and bleeding. PR bleed in about 2 to 20% of the patient, which it is usually self-limiting. Hematospermia can be there. It is a benign condition. It can be up to 6 weeks, and hematuria. Urinary retention requiring catheterization occur in 0.2 to 4% of the patient. It depends on the prostate size and the number of cores taken. More the cores taken from the prostate, the more chances are there for the retention. Severe vagal response occur in about 1 to 5% of the patient due to fear of the endorectal probe. IV hydration and Trendelenburg position helps. Perineal bruising is, we can see there mostly in transperineal biopsy. Any questions?